Basketball fans watch the game primarily for the high-flying dunks, dipsy-do layups, nasty ankle breakers, and breathtaking three-point bombs. Fans also enjoy the dramatic late-game finishes and buzzer-beating shots that bring thrill and excitement. But there is a lot more that goes on in the game of basketball than just the on-court action. There is also a ton of high drama that goes on and off the court, and that usually adds a little extra spice to the fan experience. Another thing that fans love is the heated feuds that the players get into with each other. Some even get into with coaches, front office staff, or even media people. As highly competitive athletes, animosity can rise not just with opponents, but among teammates as well. This usually leads up to a nasty divorce that becomes a bitter rivalry that makes up great TV for basketball fans. Here are some of the most insane beefs in NBA history. Kobe Bryant vs. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant were one of the greatest guard-big 1-2 punch in the history of the NBA. Together, they led the Los Angeles Lakers to 3 straight NBA championships in the early 2000s. Despite their success on the court, O'Neal and O'Bryant did not particularly see eye to eye. They had very different personalities, and the two alpha dogs eventually clashed. We all knew about Kobe's Mamba mentality. Bryant was all about getting better and perfecting his craft every single day in the gym, and he wanted Shaq to carry that same mindset and work ethic, but Shaq was not all about that. The seeds of their feud were planted after they won their first NBA title. O'Neal came into the 2001 season training camp out of shape. This upset Kobe as he worked hard to improve his craft throughout the summer. Their relationship started to deteriorate after the 2002-03 season when they saw their three-peat come to an end. The two took public jabs at each other. Bryant criticized O'Neal's lack of effort and lackluster work ethic. Shaq blasted Kobe for shooting too much and not playing team ball. Their relationship eventually came to a head following their 2004 finals loss to the Detroit Pistons. O'Neal was traded to the Miami Heat the following summer. The two met each other for the first time as ex-teammates on Christmas Day 2004, and the two barely acknowledged each other. But by 2006, O'Neal and Bryant seemed to have patched things up. They continued to take subtle jabs at each other, such as O'Neal's infamous "Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes" rap line that went viral around the internet.
Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes.
Or Bryant not forgetting to remind Shaq how he one-upped him with the championships.
Just got one more than Shaq.
In the end, the two champions patched things up and weren't shy in expressing their utmost respect for each other, and that's what led them to winning all those titles despite their differences. Ben Simmons vs. Joel Embiid. Okay, this feud is still in its infancy, but if Joel Embiid is on one end of it, you just know it will go down as an incredibly entertaining beef between two former teammates. This probably has to be one of the most memorable splits in recent memory. Joel, or should we say Troll Embiid, did not waste time to take a jab at Ben Simmons the moment the Nets-Sixers trade was announced. Simmons was mad at how Embiid and Doc Rivers criticized him for his poor play in the 2021 postseason, while he never said a word when Embiid played bad against the Toronto Raptors in 2019. Simmons didn't return any of his teammates' calls during the offseason, including Embiid's. The 3-time All-Star attended training camp but did not look too interested in being there. He just completely sat out the regular season, taking in whatever fines the Sixers gave him until Philly had no choice but to trade him. Embiid initially started the season with hope that Simmons changes his mind, but eventually the process grew tired and started taking shots at the Australian.
At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does whatever he wants.
With the trade just going down, we're pretty sure there's going to be a lot more where that came from. Get your popcorn ready because the show has only just begun. Russell Westbrook vs. Patrick Beverley. Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley have been beefing over the last 10 years. It took its latest turn when Beverley tweeted out, "I remember when somebody said all I do is run around and I trick y'all face with tears of joy. Well, my boy is the real magician this year." That is obviously a shot at Westbrook, who is having an incredibly disappointing season for the Lakers. Nonetheless, this is also a response when Westbrook said this about Beverley 3 years ago.
Pat Bev trick y'all, man, like you play defense. He don't guard nobody, man, just running around doing nothing.
Westbrook and Beverley's spat with each other goes way back to the 2013 playoffs when Beverley's unnecessary swipe after the timeout, having already been called, caused Westbrook to tear his meniscus and miss the rest of the postseason. The two have gotten into plenty of physical altercations since, with a couple of verbal jabs at each other. Their history is well documented and it doesn't seem like it's coming to an end anytime soon. Giannis Antetokounmpo versus James Harden. Giannis Antetokounmpo and James Harden were never teammates, nor did they face each other in the playoffs when their apparent beef with each other started. Nonetheless, the beginning of this somewhat out-of-nowhere feud started after the Greek Freak bagged the 2018-19 MVP trophy after leading the Bucks to the best record in the league. That was the same year Harden went bonkers on the scoreboard and averaged 36.1 points through the entire season, finishing as the runner-up behind Giannis. Harden believed he should have bagged a second straight MVP for his historic scoring season and took jabs at how the narrative was already set for the Bucks superstar to win the trophy at the beginning of the season. Giannis fired back by not picking Harden as the 2020 All-Star draft. As for his reason, well, it was definitely a shot fired.
Okay, this is a tough one. I'm between Kemba and Trae Young.
Wait, you don't want the dribbler?
I want somebody that's gonna pass the ball. That's what I want.
In an interview with ESPN's Rachel Nichols, Harden was asked to respond and coldly said he wishes he could be 7 feet and run and just dunk, adding how it takes no skill to do that. Then, Antetokounmpo took another jab by saying their defensive strategy during the All-Star game was to go to whoever Harden was on. Clearly, with their back and forth, Harden and Antetokounmpo aren't too fond of each other. While their feud has been primarily a verbal war, this could get interesting should Giannis's Bucks face Harden's new squad, the 76ers, in the playoffs. Isaiah Thomas versus Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan had one of the most heated rivalries in the 1980s, and the animosity wasn't just on the floor, it also prevented the development of a relationship between the two all-time greats off the court. The beef reportedly started when Thomas froze out a rookie Michael Jordan when he made his All-Star Game debut in 1985. Thomas was apparently jealous of Jordan's rising stature in the league. He apparently orchestrated the whole thing, limiting Jordan to just 9 shots throughout the game. The NBA scripted the schedule right as the Pistons were Chicago's first game back from the All-Star break. Apparently, Jordan had already been taking things personally even as a rookie. He scored 49 points, leading the Bulls to a 13-point win over Isaiah's Pistons. It only got worse from there as Detroit and Chicago went on to face each other multiple times in the playoffs. Isaiah and the Pistons were Jordan's major roadblock en route to his first championship, and they made life hell for Jordan on the court. Detroit incorporated the Jordan rules where they pretty much made sure to foul Jordan and send him hard on the ground whenever he drove to the rim. The Pistons eliminated the Bulls from the playoffs thrice and went on to win back-to-back titles in the process. Eventually, Jordan and the Bulls got over the hump and swept Detroit in the 1991 East Finals. Thomas and the Pistons only added fuel to the fire when they simply walked past the Chicago bench without any congratulatory greetings. Jordan remembered that, and newsflash, he took it personally. As the NBA's main man in '92, Jordan said he didn't want Isaiah on the Dream Team. Thomas did not make the cut. Though he denied it at The Last Dance, it is highly speculated Jordan had something to do with it. We often see rivals turn into good friends after their playing careers are done, but not Jordan and Thomas. Kevin Durant versus Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant's departure from the Oklahoma City Thunder, leaving Russell Westbrook in the dust, gave birth to one of the spiciest feuds in the 2010s. Durant and Westbrook just came off a Western Conference Finals loss to the Golden State Warriors in the 2016 playoffs, and during the summer, KD signed with the team that just beat them and just came off a historic 73-9 season. This obviously did not sit well with Westbrook, who, like Jordan, seemed to take it personally, because why not? Anyway, Durant apparently didn't give Westbrook any heads up that he was leaving. Westbrook was not happy about it, and he made sure to let him know about it when KD made his first appearance back in Oklahoma City. Durant and Westbrook jawed and got in each other's faces several times, and this continued on for quite a couple of years whenever Golden State and Oklahoma City played against each other. Now, it seems like the beef has tempered and the two shared some good laughs whenever they saw each other at the All-Star game. The hate is probably no longer there, but the nasty split certainly changed their relationship forever. Scottie Pippen versus Michael Jordan. The duo of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen is undoubtedly the greatest the game of basketball has ever seen. They led the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA championships in 2 separate three-peats and tallied 0 losses in all of their finals appearances. They elevated the sport to new heights in the 90s and were responsible for globalizing the game to what it is today. But who knew there was some pent-up animosity between the greatest tandem in the history of the NBA? Most of the malice is actually coming from Scottie Pippen. Pippen did not appreciate the way he was portrayed on The Last Dance, and he made sure to let everybody know his true feelings about the man he went to battle with throughout the 90s. Pippen went on a no-holds-barred barrage on Jordan, calling his former partner selfish on several occasions, including in his book, Unguarded.
Yeah, it was a big decision, but it was a selfish decision, but it was kind of who Michael Jordan was. And that's was a guy that kind of believed that he can do anything on his own.
Remember the Steve Kerr shot that won the '97 NBA title? Pippen dropped a bomb that the famous "Be ready" spiel from Jordan to Kerr prior to the play was planned all along, and MJ did it to make himself look good.
Do you know all those cameras that's sitting in that huddle who they was working for?
The NBA.
So you know who Michael was speaking to when he said that, right? that was planned. That was speaking to the camera.
Jordan hasn't responded to Pippen's bitter words, and he probably won't ever release a public statement about it. Seeing all this unfold 20 plus years later is certainly heartbreaking, especially for Bulls fans and basketball fans in general who grew to love the game in the 90s, and it's looking more like Jordan and Pippen's relationship is beyond repair.